I'm going to start this homework video guide on question number 22, and for each ordered pair I need to determine whether it's a solution to this linear equation. So all we're really doing is we're given an x value and a y value, and we'll denote that as just x and y, and we're going to just insert those into the linear equation here. So this is your y value and this is your x value. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug the numbers in. So y is going to become 32. And that's going to equal to negative 2 times the x value, and the given x value here is 2 minus the 8. Okay, so I have 32 equals 2. Then I have negative 2 times 2, which is negative 4, and then I subtract the 8, and I get 32 on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side I get negative 12. So clearly the left-hand side is not equal to the right-hand side, so we'll say that this is an answer that does not work. Okay, and then we move on to the next coordinate here. So now I have a 9 and I have a negative 26. So I'm just going to erase all this. So this y now becomes a negative 26, and that equals to negative 2 times the x value, and the x value now is going to be 9. So I plug in the 9 for the x, subtract the 8. Then we just compute the right-hand side. So negative 2 times 9 is going to be negative 18 minus the 8. So I get negative 26 on the left-hand side, and I also get negative 26 on the right-hand side. So this coordinate is on the linear line because negative 26 equals to negative 26. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. So the next one I have is, I have negative 5 and 2. Okay, so if I plug that in, I guess this y value here now becomes 2, and that equals to negative 2 times negative 5 minus the 8. So now I have a 2 here, and negative 2 times negative 5 is going to be positive 10 minus the 8, and now I have 2 on the left hand side and I have 2 on the right hand side. So the left hand side equals the right hand side, so this coordinate works. Okay, let's move on to the last coordinate here. So my equation of my line was y equals to negative 2x minus 8. All right, let's take our x value and our y value and let's just plug them in. Okay, so my y value is going to be negative 6 equals to negative 2 times negative 7 minus the 8. Okay, so this will be negative 6 on the left-hand side. Negative 2 times negative 7 is going to be positive 14, and then minus the 8. Okay, so I get negative 6 on the left-hand side, but on the right-hand side I get positive 6. So these are not equal, so this coordinate is not on the linear line. And that's it for question number 2. It's a numerical calculation type of an exercise. Okay, moving on to question number 23 now. Okay, so I need to graph this linear line here. So when you're graphing this linear line, you want to take a look at your slope here and your y-intercept. Now, when I look at my slope here, which is the negative 3, you want to make sure you can translate that into a rise over run. So you're really going up 3, and because of that negative sign, you're going left 1. Sorry, you're going left negative 1. And you're going to start at a y-intercept value of negative 3. So once you start at negative 3, which is right here, what you're going to do now is from that point, you're going to go up 3 and left 1. All right, because that's your slope, right? Okay, so from there, we can go up 3 and to the left of 1, which is over here, and up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3, left 1, and now that I'm out of space, I can go back to my y-intercept and go down 3, and to the right 1, down 3, and to the right 1. And there you go. There is my linear line for this particular question here. I want to say that for this particular question, your y-intercept is right here, which is the coordinate of 0, negative 3, and your x-intercept is right there, which is going to be negative 1, 0. So those are some coordinates that will come up in future problems for this review guide. Okay, let's move on to question number 24. A good question. Find the x-intercept and y-intercept of this line. Okay, so if you have an x-intercept, and I'll go back to my previous question here. Here's my x-intercept there. When you have an x-intercept, you have to notice that your y value is equal to 0. And when you have a y-intercept, which is over here in green, you should notice that your x value is equal to 0. Okay, so those are two facts that you kind of need to know to find the x and y-intercepts. Okay, so if I want to find the x-intercept, let's just kind of write, if I want to find the x-intercept, the trick here is you just set y equals to 0. Okay, so when you see a y value there, you just set that y value to 0 because we mentioned over here that the y value is always 0 when you have an x-intercept. Okay, so when we do that, we get 4x minus 6 times 0 equals to negative 24. Okay, and now we have 4x equals to negative 24, and then we can divide both sides by 4. And then we have an x value that equals to negative 6. Okay, so your x-intercept is negative 6, and the way you write that as a coordinate is negative 6, comma 0. So there is your x-intercept. Okay, let me erase that now that we have taken care of the x-intercept. Now, if you want to find the y-intercept, all we do is we set x equals to 0. Okay, so the x value here, that will go to 0. So now we have 4 times 0 minus 6y equals to negative 24. Okay, now I have negative 6y equals to negative 24. And then I can divide both sides by negative 6. Divide that by negative 6. And I get a y value equals to positive 4. Okay, so my y-intercept is going to be 0, comma 4. And that's how you find your x and y intercepts. Moving on to question number 25, I need to graph this linear line here. Okay, so let's take a look at my slope here, which is 1/2. That means we go up. I always go up first, up 1, and since it's positive, I go right 2. And I have a y-intercept of negative 4. Okay, so I'm going to start here. Here's negative 4. And as mentioned in the previous step, we need to go up 1, and we go right 2. Okay, so up 1 and right 2 is over here. Up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2. And then we go down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2. Okay, so I'll just graph my line there. And there's my linear line. All right, so here's my y-intercept, which is the coordinate 0, comma negative 4. And here's my x-intercept, which is 8, comma 0. And remember, an x-intercept has a y value of 0, and a y-intercept has an x value of 0. Okay, let's move on. Question number 26, I believe. So we got to find the x-intercept and y-intercept of the line. So we've done some of these questions already. So when we have an x-intercept, this means y goes to 0, right? So if we're looking for the x-intercept, we know that y goes to 0. So you can just kind of erase that right away. And then you're left with 7x equals to 12. And then we can divide both sides by 7 now. So divide that by 7, divide that by 7. So now the x value would equal to 12 over 7. Okay, so for your x-intercept, now that we're trying to do this a little bit quicker here, it has a value of 12 over 7 and then comma 0. Okay, that's your x-intercept. Okay, if I want to find my y-intercept, we just set x equals to 0. Okay, if x goes to 0, then this can go away, and now we're left with negative 5y equals to 12, and then we can divide both sides by negative 5, divide that by negative 5, and then we get y would equal to negative 12 over 5. Okay, so your y-intercept here would be 0, comma negative 12 over 5. Okay, that's it for number 26. Let's move on to question number 27. Graph the line x plus y equals to 2. Okay, so when you're graphing these kind of linear lines, you want to write this in the form y equals to mx plus b. Okay, so I'm going to start off with this x here. It's positive x, right? So I'm going to move that to the other side. If I move that to the other side, it becomes negative x. And then we have a positive 2 there, so add the 2, and then have a y over here. So y equals to negative x plus 2. Okay, so my slope here equals to, well, there's a negative coefficient, so my slope is going to be negative 1. What this means is I go up 1, and since it's negative, I go left 1. That's my slope, up 1 and left 1. But I start with a y-intercept of positive 2. Okay, so here's a y-intercept of positive 2. And as mentioned, when you have an equation of y equals to negative x plus 2, your slope here is just a negative 1, right? So that means you're always going up first. So up 1 and left 1. Okay, so up 1, left 1 is like that. So you have all these dots like that. Oops. Okay, and then we'll just continue here. And then we'll just draw the line there. Okay, so there is my values there. So I have a y-intercept here of 0, 2, and I also have an x-intercept of 2, 0. Okay, so that's it for that particular graph. Let's move on to the next one. I need to graph a line that has an x-intercept of -6. Okay, so an x-intercept of -6 is over here, and a y-intercept of 9 is over there. Okay. So before I kind of look at this graph here, a slope is rise over run, right? So if I take a look at this triangle right here, it looks like the rise here is going to be, it looks like this height right here is going to be 9, and this height over here is going to be 6. So rise over run is really 9 over 6, and if I reduce that fraction, it becomes 3 over 2. Okay. So that's important, because if I want to connect this line, I guess I go from here. You can literally go up 3 and left 2, right? So up 3 and over 2, up 3 and over 2, up 3 and over 2, and then up 3 and over 2, then up 3 and over 2, and then you get yourself a nice linear line like that. So it is a negative slope because if I put a person on the far left hand side, the person's going down the hill there, right? So there is your graph for that. Okay, next question here. I got to find the slope of this line. Well, step number 1, if I put a person on the far left, is going up the hill, so it's positive. Then we look at the rise right here. So the rise is 1, 2, 3, 4 units. And if I look at the run here, I have 3 units. So the slope, which is taken by the letter m, is 4 over 3. And that's it. Okay, let's keep on moving along. Let's move on to question number, I guess we're on question number 30, I guess. So for question number 30, I need to graph this line by first finding the x and y intercepts. Okay. If I want to find the x-intercept, we just set y equals to 0. Okay. So if y equals to 0, if I take a look at this 7y, if y goes to 0, this is gone, right? So you now just have 4x equals to -28. And then you can divide both sides by 4. Divide both sides by 4, and you have x equals to -7. Okay, so the x-intercept is at -7, 0. Now for the y-intercept, you would set x equals to 0. Okay, so going back to my original equation here, here's my x. If that goes to 0, that's gone. We're left with 7y equals to -28. So I have 7y equals to -28. And I can divide both sides by 7, and I have y would equal to -4. Okay, so my y-intercept is really 0, -4. Okay, so I'm going to graph these 2 points, -7, 0, and 0, -4. Okay. Okay, so here is -7 over here, and here is the y-intercept over there, right? So if I had to just draw a line here, I guess I'm going up 4 and left 7. So now I can go down 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's a good point right there. Okay, so if I just connect the dots here, there's my graph right there. Okay, so we want to question number 31. So for each line, determine whether slope is positive, negative, 0, or undefined. Okay, a very quick way to do all these problems is you always put a person on the far left. Far left. Okay, so since this person is going down the hill here, this means we have a negative slope. Since this person is going up the hill, we have a positive slope. Since this person runs into a wall right here and can't move anymore, the slope is undefined. And over here, this person just walks straight very easily, so the slope here is going to be 0. Okay, let's move on to question number 32. Identify the slope and a point on this line. Okay, so if you want to find a point on the line, you just need an x value and a y value. And from the previous lessons, if I have x plus 1, we just take the opposite value of 1, which is negative 1. And since we have a negative 5, we take the opposite value, which is positive 5. So there's my coordinate, negative 1 comma 5. And my slope is just this thing right here. So the slope here is negative 3 over 2. Okay. And just remember, when you are graphing a slope, this literally means you are going up 3 and left 2. Okay, so that's a little tip if you are graphing a slope there. Okay, moving over here, let's see if we can go ahead and find the point right here. Okay, so I have x minus 3, so the opposite of x minus 3, the opposite of negative 3 is positive 3, and since I have a positive y plus 3, the opposite of positive 3 is going to be negative 3. All right, so we're always taking the opposite values there, right? The opposite values. So 3 comma negative 3, and now my slope is just 3 over 4. So my slope is 3 over 4, and this literally means you go up 3 and right 4 when you're graphing. Okay, let's keep on moving along. Okay, so next question right here, a little bit tricky one here. Write an equation of a line passing through these points, negative 4 comma 4 and 2 comma 5. Okay. So you have to figure out what the slope here is, and a very quick way to find the slope is you have to look at your rise right now. So there's a negative 4 and a 5, right? So the rise between, it's kind of like if you look at a number line right here, negative 4 is at the bottom and 5 is at the top. So this rise right here is really technically has a value of 9. So the rise is 9. And then take a look at the x value, 2 and negative 4, right? So here is 2 and negative 4 is over there, right? So that distance right there is really 6, right? So it's really 9 over 6. And if I reduce that fraction, it's going to be divide both top and bottom by 3, which is 3 over 2. So you can think of the slope intuitively like that, and that gets it all the time. Also, there are some nice little formulas that you can also use here. So if you want to find the slope here, all you're really doing is you're taking this value here, which is 5, and you're subtracting from the second y value, which is negative 4. And then you're dividing by your next x value, which is 2, and then you're subtracting that from the first y value, which is negative 4. Okay, and if you do the math here, now you get 5 plus 4 divided by 2 plus 4, and that's the same thing as 9 over 6, which is 3 over 2. So that's a very quick way where you can find the formula by just subtracting the x and y values there. Okay, so we know the slope is 3 over 2. So let me kind of write that over here, y equals to 3 over 2. Sorry, m equals to 3 over 2. And there's a few ways you can get the equation of the line now. So if I have the point negative 4, 4, we're just taking the opposite values, right? So this is the point slope form right here, y minus y1 equals to m bracket x minus x1. And we're just taking the opposite values here. So if I have a y value of negative 4, then this becomes y plus 4. Okay, and that equals the slope, which is 3 over 2. And then I have the opposite value of negative 1, so I have negative 4 here, so the opposite value of that is going to be x plus 4. Okay, so that's one way where you can find the equation. Another way where you can find the equation here is you can use this coordinate right here, and since the x and y values are positive, you just write y minus 5 equals to the slope, which is 3 over 2. And the x value is going to be negative, so x minus 2, right? So you're always taking the opposite values from the coordinates. So those are two ways where you could write the equation of the line there. Okay, let's go ahead and go to question number 35. A line has a y-intercept of 1 and a slope of 4. So if I use that, I have y equals to mx plus b. So this y-intercept is 1 and the slope is 4, so this would be 4x plus 1. All right, so you want to use the slope-intercept form, which is this thing right there. Okay. Then I need to write the equation of the line. Okay, well that's just, we already did that, right? Y equals to 4x plus 1. Okay. This is a good question here. A line has a slope of negative 1/2 and it passes through this point. Okay, now if it passes through this point, you want to use the the point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals to m bracket x minus x1. Okay, so here's your slope, which is negative 1/2. And you're just taking the opposite values now, right? So y is negative 4, so this will be y plus 4. And if x is negative 4, it'll be x plus 4. So there you go. There's your equation and your form there. Okay, let's move on to question number 37 here. A line passes through the point negative 7, 5 and has a slope of 2. Write an equation of this line in the form, in this form right here, where a, b, and c are integers. Okay, so since you're given points and a slope, it's best to use this form first, which is the point slope form. Okay, so if I have a slope of 2, that's going to be this value right there. So that's going to be equals to 2. And then just take the opposite values, right? So if I have negative 7 over here, that's going to be x plus 7, the opposite value. And if I have a positive 5, that's going to be y minus 5. Okay, so there it is. Y minus 5 equals to 2 bracket x plus 7. And then we've got to change this into this form here. So this is really just an algebra exercise now. So we've done a lot of algebra problems in this course here. So you want to distribute the 2. So I get 2x plus 14. And I have a y minus the 5. Okay, what we're going to do next is we're going to move the negative 5 over. And we're going to combine that with the 14, right? So if I move the negative 5 over, it's going to be a plus 5, right? Plus 5. So 14 plus 5 is going to be plus 19. Okay, so that's y equals to mx plus b. And then we got to write this into this form. Sorry, I'm going to write this over here. We want to write this in the form ax plus by equals to c. Okay, so all we have to do now is just move the 2x over to the left-hand side. So since 2x is positive, if I move it to the left-hand side, it becomes negative 2x. And this y remains, and then 19 remains over here is just 19. So there you go. Negative 2x plus y equals to 19. Okay, so that concludes this first part of the homework video guide.